Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Oh, You podcast. Welcome, everybody, to the Oh, You podcast. Today, we are blessed and lucky to have with us the irrepressible Hannah Farkas, who has so many stories she doesn't even know where to begin.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. We want to start with the hardest of the questions.
The hardest question.
Yes, because we know you love to talk about yourself so much.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Tell me a little about myself.
Yeah.
Sure.
Where are you from?
I originally from Cherry Hill,
Okay.
a small town in New Jersey.
Yeah. All the way in the south, right?
All the way, very close to Philadelphia. When I grew up, that was the city to me. So my first time coming to New York was actually when I moved here to get a job in the city. Yep. I was like a very small town girl. And I was bartending for a while.
This from an early age you were bartending?
From 18.
18,
The time
wow.
I was 18, yeah.
How does that work? I thought you can only...
You can't drink at a bar, but you can be there.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, I was certified in Philly. I was working in Philly, and then I moved to the city, and I was bartending while I was looking for a job in a nonprofit.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Can we go back a step maybe or two?
Yes.
Where did you go to school when you were in Cherry Hill?
I played basketball in high school, and I
Because you were the tallest? Is that
I was definitely not. I think I'd like to call myself the most aggressive.
The most aggressive?
The most aggressive,
okay.
And also probably the fastest. So you couldn't touch me when I was playing basketball. I went to Truckee Hebrew Academy, which doesn't exist anymore. I was recruited to play there for high school, and then I went to public school, and I was playing for the public school in my hometown.
So you must have been pretty good to play for a public school.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
I'd like to say I was pretty good.
What was the best part of your game aside from being fast and aggressive?
I am like the AI of the Jewish world for girls.
So AI, for those of you who think that stands for artificial intelligence, for a Philly fan back in the day, that stood for Allen Iverson.
Yeah,
right?
Growing up, my whole room was covered in Allen Iverson clippings.
Really?
Yeah, to the point where my kids actually thought that was a relative in some capacity at my house.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet AI?
I did not.
Okay.
No, but I watched him play a lot.
You watched him play. All right.
Yeah.
And so you styled yourself after him.
Yes.
And that worked out kind of well for you, right?
It did. I was recruited to play in college, and then I tore my ACL and my meniscus, and I said that was it and was going to focus on my education instead.
Being recruited to play in a Division I school.
Yeah.
Right? How'd that make you feel?
It was exciting, and especially because it was very hard for me to pay for college. That was like my way of really like moving my career forward, which is what I had wanted to do. But it's also very time consuming, and I really wanted to focus on my education.
Right. Was it a confidence builder?
Was being really awesome at something a confidence booster? Yeah. Sure.
So you felt you were really awesome.
I'd like to think so, yeah.
Do you ever reflect back on it and think about like maybe you're having a hard day, maybe one of the kids is sick or whatever it is, and you're like, I remember those days, and I know that if I could do that, I can do.
So I use those skills a lot in the work that I do at the OU and also in my house. I feel like I work with a team, an incredible team here in the office, and also my kids are just awesome. So to be able to like know how to manage a situation or be able to move people in the right directions, that I think I've definitely utilized in my career as well.
Yeah. So talk about home a little bit.
Sure.
Who's at home?
I have a husband and 3 beautiful children at home.
How old are they?
10, 5, and almost a year.
Almost a year already.
Almost a year, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And everybody's doing okay.
And everyone's great. Everyone's doing really well.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Do you want to hear something really cool?
That's what everybody wants to hear, something really cool, not just me. Yeah.
I was reflecting because this is an exciting opportunity for me to be here. And one of the things that what I was reflecting about is that when I first started at the OU, which was about 13 years ago, I was single. I'd moved to the city by myself. And now I have a family. So I really grew up in the OU, which is really cool. I got married here and I've had my 3 kids. So I thought that was really fun.
That's it's a good story. It's a great story.
Thank you.
Your family now is here also, right?
They're the OU mascots. They've come to all my events and stuff.
It's true. And sometimes on Zooms they even jump in.
They have made a few appearances.
That's
yes.
right. That's they're part of the family, and you're part of the family, and we're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
And so that turns a little bit into, your job here. Over 13 years, you've done a lot of different things. What's your title here at the OU? It's one of the interesting things about you.
I'm actually the Associate Director of Institutional Advancement at the OU.
Yep.
So my focus is on donor engagement. So really the board, benefactor circle, membership, all of those pieces, my goal is to make you feel good to be able to support the organization.
So, we have 2 different kinds of people involved with the OU, maybe even more. Right? We have our professionals. That's why we have you here. And then we have our lay leadership. People talk about the OU is a lay-driven organization.
Correct.
You just said you're like responsible for that whole other part of the OU.
Well, I mean, the board really governs the organization, so I'd like to...
But you make those relationships happen.
I like to say that I help facilitate those relationships, absolutely.
Just a quick rundown, some of the different kinds of major activities and actions and events and involvements that you've had here.
Sure. So I started here in 2011. I started as a community services associate. So really my focus was on running programs across the country on marriage, parenting, eating disorder awareness, sandwich generation, you name it. And I had an incredible guide in Frank Bookweitz who ran that department. And I really grew a lot. Like I learned about like creating an event from the ground up. I was able to like use my skill set to work on the OU's community fair.
What kind of events? So you had the community fair?
So the community
what
fair,
else?
Marriage enrichment, parenting.
What's marriage enrichment?
So the programs that we were running were focused on enhancing the skills needed for a healthy marriage, communication, relationship building, conflict resolution.
There used to be this Shabbaton that sometimes I hear about.
You sometimes, I still get those emails from participants saying, where's the marriage enrichment retreat? Because it was a beautiful program. I actually brought my husband to it before we were married, and then he started using words like stonewalling and things like that. So I stopped allowing him to come.
It worked too well.
It worked too well, yes.
Got it.
He started using those words. But it was a really incredible program, and I think it really impacted the lives of people across the country, which is really cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so now you're engaged with lay leadership.
Yeah, so I did that for about 8 years. And then I had really wanted to go into fundraising when I started at the OU. That was my dream.
Said a lot of people often, right?
The impact that you can make when you're supporting an organization is just incredible. And so to be able to use that experience that I had and be able to use it for the Jewish community, I thought was really important. So I was one of the first people to be brought into the newly established Institutional Advancement Department.
And so you work a lot. You spend a lot of time with the lay leadership, right?
I do, yes.
And, there's a lot of them, right?
There's a lot of them.
How do you manage that? How do you, sort of balance who you're spending time with, who you're calling, who you're telling me to call? Like, how do you think about that? How do you structure it in your head?
So I look at it as like cultivation, stewardship opportunities. So there are a lot of people that I'm talking to on a regular basis. The executive committee of the board is incredibly active and engaged. We are now in the process of the nominations of the new board. So we're dealing a lot with the nominating and board resource committee. So there's a lot of lay involvement, as you mentioned before. Yep. And so I work very closely with a lot of the chairs of each of the different commissions. There's a lot of pieces. how do I spend my time? I try to connect with every one of them 2 or 3 times a year, a lot more frequently, and they all have different interests. Some people want to be contacted by phone, sometimes by WhatsApp or voice notes. So just having had that experience, I'm kind of familiar with what their preference of communication is.
Amazing. Now you also just ran a program, a project with some outside consultants to help us understand the full vast league of contacts that we have. Looking at the last 10, 20 years of
yeah,
people
about 10 years. Yeah. We're trying to better understand our data. So when somebody gives to the organization, we want to know what their areas of interest are and how we can best connect with them. So we're in the process of doing a deep dive into our donor base and better understanding the frequencies, the areas of interest, and how we as an organization can best connect with them.
And so that'll give us sort of a pipeline?
That's the goal, yeah, is to create a pipeline of engagement from all the different constituencies within the OU's fundraising platform.
But that's not just for central fundraising purposes, right? We'll be able to give a pipeline to each of the departments who are looking for people who might be aligned with their mission or what they're trying to accomplish as well.
Exactly. So what we were able to do is by understanding the data, by understanding each of the different donors and their interests and their capacity and their frequency, we're able to then allocate them to different fundraisers across the organization, whether it's JLIC or NCSY or Yachad. That way we're able to connect with them on a level and in the way that they want to be connected.
Are you still playing basketball? Is that still something that you're involved in? Anything? I know you're on the board of your kids' school, so I know you're spending some time outside the office being still doing things for the Jewish people. Anything else that you're involved in?
So the school actually is RPRY, Rabbi Pesach Raymond Yeshiva in Highland Park.
Yeah.
Shout out. And I'm very involved in the school. I deal with their governance and their recruitment and retention. So a lot of the things that I'm doing here, I'm doing there. And they're trying to recruit me to be their coach for the girls basketball team. So
okay.
We'll stay tuned.
Okay, that's exciting. That's exciting. All right. Should we do some rapid fire questions?
Sure, we can do that.
Okay. What's a must dish at your Shabbos or Yontif meal?
So my kids call it apple crisp cranberry crumble.
Okay.
It's really...
Wait, big question. You serve it with the meal or as a dessert?
I serve it with the meal.
Wow.
And I have always called it, a crumble, and they correct me every single time. So, apple crisp cranberry crumble.
Okay, and they love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Which yontif do you love the most?
Rosh Hashanah.
How come?
I feel like it's a nice, beautiful start to the year, and it helps to set the tone for the year to come.
Great. I'm going to ask you some OU questions.
Oh gosh.
I think you could have written these questions because I don't know that anybody knows more about the OU. It's not going to be a test on the Constitution of the OU, which again,
I could have done.
Hannah knows more than anybody else, but we can give you some options. Okay. So, in a previous iteration, what was the OU's Jewish Action magazine called? You want options?
Yeah.
Okay. Jewish Life, Jewish Living, Jewish Thought, Yiddish Action.
So Jewish Life was like in a email. I don't think that was a magazine. I think it's the Jewish Thought.
You had it right the first time.
Did I?
You did.
I thought that was just an email. Yeah. Okay.
Which current OU program department started under NCSY's umbrella? JLIC, Yachad, Israel Free Spirit, Teach.
JLIC.
Actually, Yachad.
Yachad.
Yachad was originally part of NCSY.
Okay.
I'm
learning so much. This
there
is
you
great.
go. How many laps does it take around the OU office to make a mile?
8.
I'm going to give you options. 5,
I clearly don't leave my desk.
10, 15, or 20?
15.
10.
10.
Okay.
I said 10. I heard 10.
Yeah, I heard 10 also.
I heard 10.
Yeah. Which land animal has the largest eyes? Giraffe, ostrich, lion, or bear?
I'm going ostrich.
Correct. Who is credited with the invention of the telephone? Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, Einstein, Matthias Sprunt.
Bell.
Very good. Where is the world's largest desert? Antarctica, United States, Egypt, Israel.
Antarctica.
Very good. Okay. One more section that I skipped over.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me? Turn the table.
I do.
Okay, good.
I do. As somebody who's been here for a very long time, I find some of the nuances like very easy to understand. But as somebody when you first started, is there something that was like very different or jarring from any other organization that you've been a part of?
That's a really good question.
Go ahead.
That's a really good question. I think I was surprised at first how really disaggregated the organization was. That you had really great people, really talented people doing really amazing work over here, and like there was no connection between them, even when like they needed something and there was a similar organization outside of the OU. They'd reach out to the outside organization before they reached out to the inside. There were certain sort of basic things that you would expect in a not-for-profit organization that, we're still working on, that we're still setting up, that we're still growing. And so actually that was exciting for me to come to a place and say, oh, I can actually be helpful and use some of my experience and some of my knowledge in terms of being helpful for. And I guess the most surprising, or I don't know if it's the most surprising, but nice surprising things was people were actually interested and open to it. Not just saying, this is the way we've done it, this is always the way we've done it, and we're going to keep doing it, but being curious. Oh, maybe it's something we can learn. Maybe there's something we can do. And just like being open to learning things and it might be that they were just being nice to the boss. I don't know. But it seemed
true.
Anyway that people were really interested and curious in learning how to grow. And I think that's always a great sign of a culture of a place.
That's awesome.
Last question. What bracha do you have for us here at the OU?
My bracha is that the organization continues to grow and continues to evolve. I feel like just even from when I started a few years ago to now, it's just continuously amazes me about the work that we're doing and the impact that we have. So my bracha is just to continue in that trend.
Amen. And our bracha for you is that you help us to grow and evolve in all the amazing ways that you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, as we discussed, rumor has it, not only are you a great basketball player, but that you beat me in basketball last year.
That's
right?
true.
That's an allegation.
That is
and so
fact.
It has to be proven. You don't have pictures,
I don't have pictures.
but now we're going to get it on embarrassing for me video.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so let's go. You get the first shot,
Okay.
play a little horse, and we'll go from there. What do you say?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Ladies first. Okay.
There you go. Nice.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, that's not good. I can see defeat. Way to go. Hannah wins again.